Hi, welcome. I hope you like the Zoom backdrop that we've prepared. It's a product of a lot of work, but hopefully showcasing Northumberland for time post-lockdown. So since Monday, as you know, we've asked people to submit their questions via the online form. A significant number of you have submitted questions, and I'm going to spend the next 10 to 20 minutes trying to answer those and to go through the various bits of advice. We've had a number of different questions on things like the vaccine, antibodies, and life now that the first phase of lockdown has ended. So I'm going to start with the first question, and because this is Facebook Live, I've got to read out the first question. And this is from Tom, which is, I'm having difficulties understanding what has changed since Sunday. And we've had various variations of this on an ongoing basis, so I'm going to try and take you through it. Let me start with a precursor, which is, this is clearly on Facebook, and I'm going to try and give the answers as best I possibly can. And sometimes I'll have to read those answers because I want to be as precise as I possibly can. But can I really urge you to go to my website, which is guyopperman.co.uk/coronavirus, because we have gone to incredible efforts to ensure that we have a massive amount of detail answering all your questions. There's a load of FAQs. There is a huge amount of information out there so that you can understand exactly what you can and can't do. There is also the video from the Prime Minister, and more particularly the 60-page document that sets out the specifics of what you can and can't do. So to try and get an understanding, since the latter part of May, we clearly were in lockdown for a very long period of time. And we're in phase one now, or step one, of coming out of that lockdown. And that is between now and the beginning of June. And there are a number of things that are happening on an ongoing basis. But it is really, really important that you understand what you can and you can't do. And if there is one message, just one thing that you take away from this, it would be this, that social distancing must stay. Please, whatever you are doing, whatever you propose to do, social distancing is the most important thing, bar nothing else. So it is entirely right that you can now exercise more than once a day. You can meet one other person in a public place, and you can drive some places to exercise. And obviously, we're encouraging certain jobs to go back to work if you can't work from home. Now, clearly not all jobs are able to proceed back to work, but our strong advice is check the website, have a good read of there. If you've got any doubts as well, myself and the team are working flat out to try and assist you on an ongoing basis. We get literally dozens of questions every day. We try to respond as quick as we possibly can. So I would really urge you to email me at teamoppy@gmail.com. So that you can get in touch with us and we can then try and assist you. All right. So I've got a number of other key questions which I'm going to try and go to, but I suppose the next question that we've been asked a lot about, because it's something that everyone is concerned about and wants to have a real understanding, is about the vaccine and the antibody test. So let me deal with the vaccine first. It is the case that there is no vaccine at the present stage, but a massive amount of work is going on in the UK and more particularly worldwide to try and ensure that we have a vaccine for coronavirus. Now, there are human trials that are underway already, and those are taking place both in this country and in other countries. But the two places where we've particularly focused our attention is on Oxford University and University College in London, who are both working with the private sector to try and pioneer some vaccine for this particular problem. We've also committed in excess of £250 million to the international effort that is going ahead. And that's one of 20 countries who have joined together to make sure that we've given equal access to a vaccine if and when one is approved for use to help prevent a second wave. And what we are in the process of doing is doing those human trials and to genuinely understand whether there is a hope to have a vaccine sooner rather than later. It would be wrong to say it will be available by this date or in this particular way. But I can tell you this, in the history of human science and endeavour, there has never been such a concerted effort to secure a vaccine as there presently is being done at this moment. This is a worldwide problem, and the world is attempting in all its various shapes or forms, government, private sector, to bring forward a solution to that. Can I talk about the antibody test? So you'll be aware that there are two types of testing. There is the testing that you can have in relation to coronavirus if you have it at the present time, and clearly there are various sites locally where if you have the symptoms you can progress with that. But with the antibody tests, and several people have submitted questions on this, it is the case that we don't have one yet. However, the news that's come in today, which I wanted to try and talk about because I think it's very, very relevant, is this. So Public Health England, who are the independent public health organisation that monitor the approach that we should be taking in terms of public health as a country, the Public Health England have approved a test that has been pioneered by the Swiss company Roche, and the beauty of the antibody test is it tells you whether you've been infected previously. Now, many of us have had symptoms over a period of time dating back several months, but weren't 100% sure whether you've had the test. Some people will have been effectively asymptomatic. In other words, you will have had coronavirus, but barely known you have had it. And some people genuinely would have had it, but not known they've had it at all. So the antibody test, if we can make that work, then that is a game changer. It really is absolutely key because it allows us to work out who has had this and who has therefore immunity going forward. Now, so the Swiss company Roche have pioneered this, but the assessment is that has been done in this country has been done by the Porton Down, who are the biological assessment centre that the country uses. So they have approved that, and it has been shown to be 100% accurate. Now, clearly, it's got to be rolled out, it's got to be purchased. It will go to key workers to start with, but we're making strides. And again, the speed with which this is happening is like nothing that we've ever seen before in terms of attempting to do these things. So positive stuff in that respect. Now, I've got a bunch of other questions which I have got, I wanted to go to. We've talked about the vaccine, 2 anonymous questions on that. And then I've got a question from Sandra and Hexham. Why have reception and year 1 children been chosen as first to go back to school? Well, there's 2 bits I want to say about kids returning to school. And the first is context, which is, and I've got the stats from yesterday here. So it is not the case that schools have been closed throughout the time that we've been going through lockdown since March 23rd. So as of yesterday in Northumberland, there were 1,560 children in school, 973 were key workers' families, 387 were from vulnerable status, and 193 were EHCP. And there were over 147 schools that were open. Now, clearly that is not every single school. And clearly this has been on a limited basis as compared to the entirety of the school year. But it is definitely the case that throughout the Easter holidays and throughout bank holiday, there have been literally dozens and well in excess of 100 schools that have been open, whose teachers have been carrying out classes and who've been educating kids on an ongoing basis. And that has been a perfect dry run for a slightly wider approach that has been taken now. And the question is in respect of reception and year 1 chosen as first to go back to school. And the reason for those ages have been chosen along with year 6 is because these are the youngest children and those preparing to transition to a new school where there's going to be maximum educational benefit. And that's why those schools are going back first, followed by a phased approach for other primary age pupils throughout June. And we're also making sure that older pupils who have key exams next year get some time with their teachers before the summer holidays. Now, clearly, this is a phased approach, but it is certainly the case that we're building upon the outstanding work the Northumberland County Council and the hundreds of schools who've been involved in the project for the last 2 months have been doing. So I've got a question from Nick in Hexham, who is asking about library services in Northumberland and nationally, and asking when they will reopen. So thanks for the question on libraries. So as you will probably know, but if you haven't tried to visit your library, they are presently closed, and they're closed not just in Northumberland, but they're closed all over the country at the moment. However, Northumberland County Council, to their massive credit, has a huge selection of ebooks and audiobooks for both adults and children, which are available free via their BorrowBox website. And my strong urging is that you check out the BorrowBox website. And there's also a huge amount of online resources which are accessible, including virtual creative writing and magazines. And if you go to the Northumberland County Council website, you will find out a huge amount more. I should also say, if you want more details on the schools situation, my website has got a particular section on schools which is highly detailed, which will set out what has been going on and what the rules and regulations are. So next question, I've got Penny from Prudhoe. And when are we likely to see the reopening of opticians for eye tests? And when are we going to have children's shoe shops open? As we all know, their feet grow very quickly. Great question, fair point, well made. And several of the opticians in Prudhoe, I think of Elizabeth Evans, for example, have been in contact, very keen to reopen. So the truth is, there is a phased approach, and we are all in this boat together. If we can continue to keep the R number below 1, and if we can continue to make the progress that we've made on reducing the number of infections and reducing the spread of the virus, then we will move to the second phase post-June. Now, the government aims at the moment to be able to start the phased opening of non-essential retail in June. Now, clearly, I stress again, that depends on the COVID-19 alert level, but that is the aim. So we hope to be seeing things like opticians and children's shoe shops opening before too long. I wouldn't normally encourage you to buy online because we prefer you support the high street, but in extreme circumstances, you can buy online. And I suspect some of the local providers are also providing an online service. Clearly, you can't try it first, but my experience is all the local shops are doing everything they possibly can to sell online. But if you get in contact with us, again, at the usual email address, we'll try and put you in touch with those people. So I've had a question from Barry in Allendale. Thanks for writing in. If schools resume sometime in July, will they break it up again in mid-August for the summer holiday? If so, is it worth the effort? So 2 points to make there. So the aim, and again, there are many ifs and buts on the journey that we're all engaged upon. The aim is to make sure all primary school pupils aged pupils get a month with their teachers before the school summer holidays at the end of July. That is what the aim is. I think that is really important. It is also what all the other countries in the world are trying to do. There are various different stages at which they're at, but they're all trying to get their kids back into schools. We believe very strongly that schools are the best place for children to learn, and it's good for their mental well-being to have social interaction with others. And although we're all getting used to the present situation, there's no doubt that we want to try and get the kids back into school. So we are following the scientific advice that says it's safe to do so for when schools can go back in more detail. But we will certainly be doing that, even if it is just for a few weeks before the school summer holidays. I just want to make the point about summer holidays. It is absolutely the intention that the Secretary of State for Education made it clear earlier this week. It is absolutely the intention that we do not wish to overrun the present school term and eat up into August. So the question is, will we break up in mid-August? It's not the intention to break up in mid-August. The intention is to break up at the end of July. My apologies for the cat noises in the background. So that's Alfie the cat who's meowing. I've been asked a question about prepaid cards in emergency situations for shielded post office account holders. So the post office, I can tell you, and that's from John without any more details. The situation is that if somebody is shielded, they can nominate somebody they trust to become a permanent agent who can collect cash on their behalf, and you don't need to give them your card and your PIN. They will be issued with their own, and this is a scheme aimed at protecting those who need to be shielded during the pandemic. Again, if you write in with specifics, I can give you more details on that. In relation to the next question, and we're going along quite quickly, but Annie and Cinderhope, I'm pretty sure I know who Annie and Cinderhope is. So I'm assuming that the relaxation of the lockdown rules do not apply to people required to shield. So again, my strong urging is go to the website, and secondly, go to the 60-page statement, and Annex B is the key part of that statement, which you'll find on the website, but also you can Google it yourself. But there are two groups here. There's the shielded group, the guidance on the shielded group, and that's for those who are classified as extremely vulnerable. That stays in place, and that is currently in place for 12 weeks. And our strong urging is that you keep going with that 12-week shielded approach. Now, clearly there is a separate cohort, which is the vulnerable group, and the guidance continues, again, social distancing, but it's slightly more nuanced, and I urge you to have a look, and you can get a better understanding of exactly what you can and you can't do in those circumstances. Now, I've got time for one more. I've got Nigel in Prudhoe who's asked about, could you clarify about driving instructors when they can get back to work? So apologies, I just bashed the computer. So at the moment, driving tests are just for key workers, those who are granted a key worker test by the Driving and Vehicle Standards agencies. These are only for essential key workers at the moment, because clearly social distancing in a car is extraordinarily difficult. And again, I'd advise you to take a look at the full details on my website, guyoppmann.co.uk/coronavirus. And there are full details as to which professions can go back and can't go back. So that's about all I'm going to do right now. As always, we are here to help. I'm just trying to check if I've missed any particular questions. I'd like to put a massive thanks to all the county councillors and the parish councillors and all the people who are helping locally to provide answers to various questions, my team who are working really hard, and all the key workers out there who are working massively hard. Check out my website for all the YOCUS information. And remember, please stay alert, help us to control the virus, which helps you and helps save lives. And thanks very much. My apologies, I didn't get to all the questions, but we've covered quite a lot in a short period of time.